Hi guys, how are you all today morning? Good morning. Today is 18th October 2023. My name is T.S.V. Raghavan and I live in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. This is my spiritual vlog on YouTube. Hardan, 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 Haribol, TRSV, Nectar, NECTAR, Nectar. In this particular vlog, in all my previous videos, we have been discussing about the knowledge and information that we have gleaned through the study of spiritual books, scriptures, contemplation on the material universe, and meditation on the spiritual universe. This particular video in this vlog is no exception to that rule. In fact, it is a mere continuation of all that we have been doing in all my previous videos. Kindly subscribe to this vlog and press the bell icon so that I may keep reminding you of all my past, present, and future videos. So let us continue with the topic of discussion for today's video. Today we will continue with our discussion and analysis of two very important terms that are used in analyzing, detecting, and experimenting on the psyche of a living human entity, whether male or female in this society at a given time. These two terms are known as intelligence and cunning. According to the local practice or belief, when the head of an individual human living entity rules the heart of the same human living entity, then that person is known as being intelligent. Whereas when the same person's heart rules his or her head, then the same person is considered to be cunning. So these are the two subtle differences between the intelligence and cunning of a human living entity. Before proceeding further, let us discuss this particular property or psyche of a human living entity further. We all know by now that when the spirit soul gets in touch with the material world, this material world envelops that spirit soul with four layers of material body. Of these, three are made up of ether and so are considered subtle, whereas the fourth is called gross, which is made up of four natural materials, namely air, fire, water, and earth. The three subtle bodies are known as the causal body of intelligence and logic, the astral body of mind, feelings, and emotions, the etheric body of senses, namely five in number, which are sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch, and the fourth is, as we already know, the gross body. Vibrations from the three subtle bodies continuously get transmitted right from the birth of the living entity till his or her passing on in this lifetime. These vibrations, which get emanated to the gross body of the living entity, first get transmitted to a mass of tissue called brain, which is safely embedded into the cranium of the skull of that particular living entity. Only then these vibrations are processed according to several factors by the same brain and then percolated down the gross body of that particular living entity. The reactions of that living entity depend on the quality and quantity of the juice extracted from such vibrations and percolated down by that brain into the gross body. Here, the causal body of intelligence will not be taken into consideration while analyzing the intelligence and the cunning of a human living entity. This is more so because the head as well as the heart, which are concerned while analyzing these terms of intelligence and cunning, belong only to the gross body of that human living entity. Here, intelligence emanates out of the astral mind, and cunning emanates out of the etheric body of senses. In other words, when the astral mind controls the etheric senses of a human living entity, then that person becomes intelligent. Whereas when the etheric senses control the astral mind of the same human living entity, he or she becomes cunning. We have been trying to analyze this particular set of terms in my past few videos, where I have provided several case histories which will authenticate the genuineness and the correctness of these particular terms. In my today's video, we shall discuss about another such case history. So let us continue with that case history. There is a state called Rajasthan in the country of India. This particular Rajasthan has several townships, cities, and villages in its fold. In one of such villages or large townships lived one particular family in the early to mid 19th century. This brood or this family was surnamed Bajaj. This was a Marwadi business community. In one of the families of Bajaj, there lived one patriarch who had a couple of offsprings. At that time, this man also had a very affluent relative who lived, owned, and operated one big trading house called Bacharaj and Co. in a place called Wardha, which is now renamed as Sabarmati after Mahatma Gandhi lived there. This Wardha is in the state of Maharashtra near the city of Nagpur. This particular affluent businessman who owned this trading company called Bachraj probably did not have any offspring or any male offspring. On the other hand, this Mr. Bajaj, who was living in a township in Rajasthan, had a couple of male offsprings when, in the month of November in the year 1988, his third offspring, a male, was born to him. This baby was eventually christened as Jamnalal. Thus, the name of this boy became Jamnalal Bajaj. This case history, this case history's main protagonist happens to be this baby called Jamnalal Bajaj. We already know that the patriarch of the Bajaj family and the man who owned that trading company called Bachraj in Vardha were cousins. This Bachraj company's owner offered to adopt this third baby born into his cousin Bajaj's family. After a few discussions or rounds of discussions, it was agreed that this baby called Jamna Lal Bajaj will be adopted by that Mr. Bachraj. This Mr. Bajraj Bajaj adopted this baby and brought it to Wardha to raise it in his own family. This baby became a child, then an adolescent, and then an adult in the same Bachraj family. We have taken the life story of this particular boy with us for this case history for a particular reason. Right from his adulthood or teen age, this boy showed signs of intelligence. Here we will take a detour. due to his own genes, his own family background, and his upbringing. This boy was open to or introduced to the business side of life from a very young age because business needs a lot of brains and intelligence. Hence, this boy, by default or by design, knowingly or unknowingly, deliberately or otherwise, allowed his own head to rule his heart. In other words, the astral mind of feelings and emotions of this particular young man completely ruled his etheric body of senses. Thus, because the astral mind began ruling this boy's psyche and life, he became creative, determined, ambitious, hardworking, and had a purpose in a life right from a young age. This boy joined his father's business at a very young age. At that time, one gentleman called Firodia was working in the same trading concern. This guy was quite experienced in business and he ran the routine business of that trading concern quite well. The son of this Firodia and Jamnalal Bajaj became close. Anyway, Jamnalal Bajaj started running this business efficiently right from his own adulthood and with the help and guidance of his own adopted father Bachraj plus that of Firodia, he came up in leaps and bounds. Soon they became quite wealthy, affluent, and respectable in that township of Varda as very successful traders, distributors, and businessmen. At that time, in the year 1915, a gentleman called Mohan Das Karamchand Gandhi came from South Africa to India and relocated here. This Mr. Mohan Das Karamchand Gandhi would later be renamed as Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi already had four sons: Hari Lal, Mani Lal, Ram Das, and Devdas. Mahatma Gandhi got up to his elbows into the nationalist movements in India. He and his party, called the Congress Party, decided to protest against the ruling colonialist British government for freedom for India. A young man, Mr. Jamnalal Bajaj, ardently joined this nationalist movement, albeit indirectly, because he was already an affluent businessman. He did not want to upturn his own apple cart. Nevertheless, he supported Mahatma Gandhi and the nationalist movement and invited Mahatma Gandhi to have one foothold in this township called Wardha. Mahatma Gandhi was very impressed and affectionate towards this young man called Jamnalal Bajaj. This shows the foresight, the intelligence, and the maturity of this very young businessman called Jamnalal Bajaj. When this guy invited Mahatma Gandhi to set up his one of the establishments in Wardha, then Mahatma Gandhi set up his own Sabarmati ashram in Wardha in the land provided by the same Jamnalal Bajaj. Soon, despite their initial political differences, Mahatma Gandhi and Jamnalal Bajaj grew quite close to each other. The nationalist movement heated up quite fast. Because Mahatma Gandhi lived in Sabarmati, that is why, or because of that, several national political and administrative leaders of India began frequenting this ashram every now and then to meet Mahatma Gandhi. They included Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Dr. Abdul Kalam Azad, Acharya J.B. Kripalani, Mr. Morarji Desai, and Mr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, Mr. Subhash Chandra Bose, etc. Soon, because this boy was rubbing shoulders with Mahatma Gandhi, he also attracted or allowed the popularity and power of Mahatma Gandhi brushed off into him or rubbed into him. This guy, though was not a nationalistic leader on his own, became but a very successful businessman, well known and popular in that locality. So much so that Mahatma Gandhi once went on a record saying that he had not four but five sons. Four of his original ones, that is Harilal, Manilal, Ramdas, and Devdas, blessed the fifth son called Jamnalal Bajaj. Mahatma Gandhi's right hand became Mr. Jamnalal Bajaj, while the left hand became Mr. Ghanshyam Das Birla, the owner of another business house in India. While Mr. Ghanshyam Das Birla, who was probably more affluent and educated than Mr. Jamnalal Bajaj, chose to work as a courier between Mahatma Gandhi and the Kingdom of England and traveled to England frequently. Mr. Jamnalal Bajaj instead remained in India, especially Varsa and Delhi. where the colonialist government was situated. Mr. Jamnalal Bajaj proved to the world that he was extremely intelligent. Not only that, he had a certain kind of nobility, genuineness, and apathy in him. So much so that when he inherited the complete Bachrach trading concern, he made sure that at least 50 to 75% of his own wealth is distributed to this country and its population by him through the nationalist movement and Mahatma Gandhi. He used this money as some sort of charity to do well for the public in India. Yes, he continued to have his own trading concern even at that time. His family, of course, did not suffer due to this largesse from Jamnalal Bajaj, but this earned him a lot of goodwill. This was this young man's foresight, and it would come to help him in the near future. Mr. Jamnalal Bajaj, in his late 40s or early 50s, started his own business house called the Bajaj Business House, which is today internationally famous. This Bajaj Business House took over the Bajraj company which he already had. Of course, unfortunately, uh, this Mr. Bajaj took to the bed at a very early age in his early 50s. However, this did not change his or his family's destiny. Mr. Jamnalal Bajaj passed on in his mid to early 50s, but by that time he had several adult offspring who could take the complete burden in their shoulders. After some time, on 15th August 1947, the country got complete independence. When it did so, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru became the first Indian Prime Minister of independent India. When this happened, the Bajaj people who were already close to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru came to benefit from the largesse and foresight of their own patriarch, Mr. Jamnalal Bajaj. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and the Congress government wanted its own stable of businessmen, industrialists, and very affluent people. In that process, mainly they encouraged two persons, namely Mr. Ghanshyam Das Birla and the son of Mr. Jamnalal Bajaj, who was none other than Kamal Nayan Bill Bajaj. Just like Mr. Jamnalal Bajaj was close to Mr. Firodia's son, and Mr. Firodia was close to the original Bajraj. The son of the son of the Firodia became very close to Mr. Kamal Nayan Bajaj, who was the son of Mr. Jamnalal Bajaj. These two enterprising young men, after independence, started one automobile workshop in a place called Kurla in Mumbai. They named this particular shop as Bajaj Tempo. At that time, the Congress was very much interested in increasing its financial muscle. So, the Congress, along with some others, supported these two industrialists, namely Mr. Ghanshyam Das Birla and Mr. Kamal Nayan Bajaj. There was a village and a large tract of unused land in a place called Akurdi near the city of Pune in Maharashtra. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru invited Mr. Kamal Nayan Bajaj and Mr. Firodia to acquire this very large tract of land for their own business purposes. These two grabbed this opportunity and built a business house in Akurdi, Pune, so much so that they made one Bajaj township there. Here they floated another company called Bajaj Auto. Mr. Kamal Nayan Bajaj gave the original Bajaj Tempo to Mr. Firodia to manage while he began concentrating on Bajaj Auto. The two succeeded very well to such an extent that within decades they became one of the most important business houses in India. Mr. Bajaj's firm, the Bajaj Auto and the business house is so big that it is indulging in various commodities, including some consumer goods and oil, etc., besides manufacturing scooters, vehicles, and automobile parts and distributing them all over not only India but also abroad. Similarly, Mr. Firodia and his family is also doing very well in their own right as the owners of Bajaj Tempo. Mr. Kamal Nayan's business was inherited by his two sons, the elder being one Mr. Rahul Bajaj. I am telling you all this to show how an intelligent person sows seeds of progress which sprout, become plants, then tree, and then a banyan tree and a forest like Mr. Jamnalal Bajaj did. Just because Mr. Jamnalal Bajaj allowed his own head to rule his heart, their own family became one of the most powerful business houses in India. They began manufacturing automobiles, scooters, motorcycles, etc., along with many commercial or consumer goods, which are also equally successful, and they are managed by the same family. They still have a hold in the place called Varsa, where the people almost keep them at the same pedestal as Mahatma Gandhi. They know by now that the original patriarch of the business house called Bajaj was one person who, because of his foresight, experience, background, education, and maturity, allowed his own brain to rule his heart, or in other words, allowed his own head and astral mind to rule his heart and his etheric senses. That resulted in the Bajaj house becoming a virtual business forest. This is one case history which will provide us a leaf of its own for our own progress. We must listen to and study the life of Mr. Jamnalal Bajaj carefully and emulate such a great man so that we may also make our own life a success. The ultimate aim for every human living entity, whether male or female, is to succeed materialistically in this world, then go spiritual, meditate on spirituality just like he or she contemplated on materialism, ultimately realize his or her true identity as the spirit soul and become self realized, and then try to get liberated from this endless chain of birth and death in this world, and after that become a fully evolved spirit soul which has got a lot of experience, maturity, and foresight, and then ultimately get delivered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead as fully evolved spirit soul. This is the actual purpose that every human living entity, whether male or female, has to follow. While doing all this, in the path of achieving all this, we must listen to or study the lives of very great men from all walks of life, from whom or from whose experience and maturity we may learn a lot and thus progress individually further. That is all I wanted to say in this particular case history. Kindly let me know what you think of my talk on this particular matter. Please give me your own expert views, thoughts, ideas, and opinions so that I may blend everything together for the sake of this society. Before concluding, let me remind you that I am also a published author with Amazon Kindle and paperback. I write on spiritualism, fiction, and assorted subjects. Spiritualism happens to be my favorite subject. Till we meet in my next video, it is good morning from TSV Raghavan.